What's going on, traders? Just want to give you guys a quick update on my thoughts when it comes to the overall market. It's going to be a quick and simple video. We're only going to go over the SPY and triple Qs. That way you guys can enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday, and then we lock back in tomorrow. So first things first, we're going to go over the SPY. So right now we're looking at the SPY daily time frame, and your key level here is 682.1. If we manage to break and hold above 682.1, then we're heading towards 685, and from there we're looking at a move towards previous all-time highs at around 689.9, 690. All right, so it's important to note that you do have a high here, lower high here, and you broke above this lower high here, which further confirms that we could see more upside and possibly a gap up towards the upside once the market opens. But again, we want to respect our levels. Your key level here is 682.1. You manage to get above that, then we can start talking about that move towards 685, 690. Now, when we look at cheddar flow here, we do see that there is positive exposure being built around 685. Well, yeah, 685 and 690. It's also positive exposure, a huge amount of exposure at around 680 and 681. So as long as we hold above all three of those levels, 680, 681, and 682.1, there's no doubt in my mind that we start heading towards 685 and 690. So that's something you want to pay attention to heading into tomorrow. Now, worst case scenario, right? Because we got to talk about the bearish side of things. If we are talking about some downside heading into tomorrow, maybe we start seeing some red at open. I'm looking at a move towards 674, between 674 and 677. And the reason why I say that is because there is a small fair value gap here between 674 and 677. And we could, okay, keyword is could, mitigate that before heading towards the upside. So pay attention to that as well. But for now, I have no reason to be super bearish or anything like that. I've been saying this since Sunday's video that historically holiday weeks are bullish, and there's no reason to think any different heading into tomorrow. So I do expect to see more upside heading into tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. I can be wrong. All right. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the SPY triple Qs. Triple Qs, you're at resistance as well. It's important to note that. But 614 is your key level. As long as you stay above 614, you're looking at a move towards 617. And what we want to see here for a continuation towards the upside is obviously a break and hold above 617. From there, you're looking at 620. And then highest you're looking at is that 627 level. Actually, you're looking at a lot higher than that because there is a gap fill at around 630. Can that happen all in one, I guess a half a day tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe you gap up at open. That's very much possible. And then we just shoot straight there. We'll wait and see. But for now, if I'm lowballing it, I would say, 627 is a major level before heading back towards the downside. But if we're being optimistic, we're being super greedy, then 630 gap fill is very much possible heading into tomorrow. Worst case scenario. All right, worst case scenario, like we talked about on the SPY, you just simply see a retest at around 610, 608 when it comes to the triple Qs before bouncing back towards the upside. So that is your bearish case scenario. Again, I'm not looking at a crash or correction tomorrow, anything crazy like that. There's no reason to think that just yet, but it is important to note that we are at resistance. We're at a lot of resistance. So maybe we gap up. Maybe we don't. We'll see. All right. So pay attention to the levels, respect the levels as always. Last but not least is the VIX. And then I'm going to give you guys some historical data on what happens after Thanksgiving week. The VIX is at a critical spot here. Okay. A very critical spot here. So this is the only thing that's kind of got me side-eyeing things. Okay. I don't want to go into tomorrow overly bullish, but again, historically, Fridays after Thanksgiving are very bullish, so we'll see. All right, but the VIX is at a very, very critical spot here. Let's actually go to the weekly time frame. So this trend line right here, you closed above this trend here. You not only closed above this trend, but you also closed above the supply and demand zone on a VIX at around 17, between 17 and 17, well, 17.9. So yeah, you want to pay attention to this, see how the VIX reacts to this level. Maybe we just consolidate here. Maybe we just simply blow through it. We'll see. But yeah. As you guys can see, multiple rejections off this trend line, so I'm not making it up, and we're pretty much just closed right above it. So something you want to pay attention to as well. Now, me personally, you're very illiquid towards the upside when it comes to the VIX, and even to the downside when it comes to the SPY, and obviously they do inverse of each other, right? So I do expect this move to eventually happen, and I'm leaning towards next week, and I'll tell you guys why in a bit. So I wouldn't swing calls heading into next week. That's just me. You do what you want. But you're very illiquid here. Very, very illiquid here, and I do expect this move to happen pretty soon when it comes to the VIX. All right, so yeah, that's just my thoughts. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, historically, what happens after Thanksgiving week? Because we talked about this all week, right? We talked about how historically holiday weeks are bullish, but when it comes to Thanksgiving week, historically you're bearish. Okay, believe it or not. So here's Friday's data. You're historically bullish the Friday after Thanksgiving, so we'll stick with that, right, until proven otherwise. But Monday's returns pretty bad, all right, not crazy bad but pretty bad. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you kind of see a recovery Thursday, but then Friday it gets bad all over again. So next week we could see some red, okay, a lot of red actually, and I do believe that's going to happen next week. Forward returns when all days from Monday to Wednesday before Thanksgiving are positive. We talked about that. We've been pretty much bullish all week, but then and Friday is pretty much the same. I know it doesn't say Friday here, but Friday is pretty much the same. You're pretty bullish on Friday as well. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, basically all next week, don't be surprised we see red. I'm not guaranteeing it. You know, it doesn't mean history has to repeat itself. But yeah, more often than not, you're pretty red. So it kind of lines up what we're seeing here. Okay, when it comes to the VIX and everything else, when it comes to where the VIX is, I should say, because the VIX is at a very critical spot. It kind of lines up with everything. So I do expect to see some red next week. I do expect that. All right. Now, one thing we did talk about, and this will be the last thing I say here, is a possible double top here, right? So it's very much possible we see a double top here, and we talked about this, I believe, in the last video, where you either reject from this trend line here and create a lower high on the weekly time frame, or you pump a little bit further towards the upside and then you create some type of double top at around 690 for the SPY before tanking back towards the downside, and your neckline will be at that 650 level. So let's actually mark it out. All right, so the stars are kind of aligning with, you know, what we just saw here, right? Okay, and we talked about this way before I even mentioned this post on Twitter, right? So you want to pay attention to this, or X. I know some people get very sensitive about what you name it, but this is something you definitely want to pay attention to, guys. All right, so pay attention to how we close tomorrow. Do we close at 690? Do we close below this trend and possibly create some type of lower high scenario? We definitely want to pay attention to that. All right, so you know, screenshot this, do what you need to do. Tomorrow I do expect more upside. If it doesn't happen, that's fine. I mean, I can't be right all the time. There's no way for me to know the future, you know, or anything like that. But tomorrow I do expect more upside, and then next week we'll see how tomorrow closes. But next week it's looking like we could, keyword is could, see some red. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Thanksgiving week or Thanksgiving holiday. And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, hopefully you just had a good day in general. But until the next video, traders, have a good one.